right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the very first episode of the Geek Garage podcast of 2021. Hi everyone.
Yay!
Obviously, that is not the voice of the sultry Ted White. That is the voice of Mr. Geoff Breedwell. Hello, Geoff.
Hey, David, how are you?
I am excellent. How are you doing? Good sir?
Man, it is 2021 and it is 2020 part 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Dude, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm gonna be one of those like positive people that is like maybe, just maybe this year will be like different in a good and better way. Like I'm really holding out hope.
You
Maybe
know
that's just blissful ignorance, maybe? I don't know.
maybe like you know the rule for sequels? Like the majority of the time a sequel to a movie is going to suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2021.
And also that's a little bit of foreshadowing
That it is a little bit of foreshadowing, but
for this episode.
But
yeah, he is technically on vacation. It's like a mini sabbatical. But yes,
nice.
Stepping in his stead is Mr. Geoff Breedwell, who obviously we've introduced already, and I'm not trying to reintroduce him again because that would be nonsense.
Should I go out and come back in? I just like pop out, pop in, pop out, pop in. Like
I don't think that's necessary. But yeah, Geoff, you and I. So you're a listener of the podcast.
I am. Yeah.
You're also one of our beloved Patreon donors.
Yep.
That's me. And we've also been friends for, I was doing the math about a half hour before we hit record.
You did the math?
I think we've been friends for like 25 years, like 24, 25 years, something like that. Cause like I moved from California to Nashville when I was about 10. 10 or 11. It was in like 94.
Mm-hmm.
And then we met in fourth grade. So whatever age fourth grade is, I want to say, maybe 10 or 11. So we were basically friends since the fourth grade. And that, sir, is a long ass time. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about Disney Plus's big reveal that they did back in December, where they were just like, here's this, you get a show, everyone here's getting shows.
That press conference.
And we're also going to be talking about Mandalorian season 2. We're going to be talking about Wonder Woman 84 and anything else in between that may potentially come up. Geoff, are you ready to dive into this and get started?
I am. I want to go ahead and just blanket it out. I know because it's just for the stuff that's going on. I know it's 2021 and I know it's probably been a few weeks, but spoiler alert for anything that comes up, just in case any of our speculations might be true or false and we ruin your life and we untie your shoes for some weird reason. And in that case, I would just go ahead and suggest slip-on shoes. They're so much more comfortable.
Yeah, that would be very weird if we had access to everyone's shoes. Yes, thank you so much, Geoff, for throwing out the spoiler alert. I actually have it in my notes, and of course I sucked the big one and did not throw out the spoiler warning. So yes, thank you so much for throwing that out. Obviously, there's not much to spoil with the Disney Plus lineup reveal because just as much as we do. But yeah, for sure with Mandalorian season 2 and Wonder Woman, if you have not had the chance to catch up on those yet, definitely go do that first and then come back and finish the rest of the podcast because we will be getting into spoiler territory.
Most definitely.
Yeah. All right. So, Geoff, as far as Disney/Disney Plus, when they had their big reveal of their lineup for, it's basically a lot of stuff in 2021, but extending past 2021, like 2022 and even into 2023.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was 3 big tiers. There was like old school, like legit Disney owned property stuff. There
Mm-hmm.
was Marvel slash MCU, and there was Star Wars. Um, and I figured we'll start with the Disney owned stuff first. I mean, of course, it's all Disney
Sure.
owned, but like
Yeah.
Disney, um,
Disney stuff. Sure.
Disney. So out of all the Disney stuff that they announced, what got you excited the most?
Oh my gosh, there was so much. Okay, so out of all the stuff that they announced, they kind
Mhm.
of got me excited. Um, the Mighty Ducks got me excited. Emilio Estevez is returning back as Gordon Bombay.
Mhm.
Lauren Graham comes into the fray with this, so I mean that's going to be really interesting. You're going to have it picks
To
up where the
say the
films
least.
left off, right?
Uh-huh.
But I just wonder if there's going to be a time jump after that. Are you going to see Joshua Jackson like it's Joshua Jackson's grandkid? It's no longer his kid. That was 10 years ago.
Right.
So that's going to be
Yeah.
interesting.
Interesting is a good word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something else. They're doing a new Beauty and the Beast. They're doing Swiss Family Robinson is going to be in a brand new imagination.
Mhm.
I'm only hoping that it goes into the multiverse for Marvel and kind of crosses. Um, that would just be absolutely hilarious. They're doing John Stamos is returning back to Disney more so with big shots and the whole like girl power thing. Where even one of my favorite actresses in the whole world, and shout out to her on Twitter. She's freaking amazing. Yvette Nicole Brown
Mhm.
is coming in and doing a high school basketball show called Big Shot.
Okay.
That's going to be really, really good. Or looked really good. There's all that stuff um, that's coming on there that looks really nice. Pixar's got a short little thing that's coming out later this month in January for Pixar Popcorn.
Mhm.
Um, of course, all the Marvel things that are coming out that we'll get into in a minute, but there
Right.
is so much. And then you have something which is very interesting. It's the new movie that they're releasing later on in March. Um, that Disney's kind of taking a cue off of Warner Brothers
Mhm.
with HBO is Raya and the Last Dragon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did see that. They decided to are they doing the same thing with that they did with Mulan where you pay like $30 for it and then you own it, or are they just releasing it like straight out where it comes with your Disney Plus membership?
They're going to be doing the premium one. That's the word on the street as of now.
Okay.
Um, you either pay the premium price or you go out to the movies and see it,
Hmm.
which, in all honesty, is like, oh, hey, cool, you're cheap. Let's go to the movie theater and save the movies, kind of. But also at the same time, oh, no, we'll just wait till it comes on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
regular, like Mulan did. But Raya and the Last Dragon, I really hope some more stuff comes out about that to where it distances itself from um crap. Now I'm having a complete brain fart. Um it
It
distances
happened to the
itself,
rest of us.
yeah, from Moana, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Because the first trailer basically looked like a Chinese Moana.
Hmm.
You had all the okay, cool. Oh, great. She's great at martial arts. She's great at bouncing back and forth. And she's got a giant slug as a friend.
Well, I mean, Disney has always been known for that whole like that I don't know what you want to call it, that character trope where, it's a quirky character with a very unseemly sidekick, one that doesn't really make any sense, but
Yeah.
has one that's got all the jokes and brings levity to this tense situations and all that. That's
Mm-hmm.
the that's kind of like their cliched, but for lack of better words, winning formula.
It's that kind of odd person out. it's the same Disney movie trope that they've had for
Forever.
years. Since the new Disney Renaissance,
Yeah.
um, in the '90s, they've had that
Mhm.
trope,
Yeah.
which played off of the regular classic movie tropes of the that screenwriters in the audience can discover via "Save the Cat" by Blake Snyder. Um, but you have that. I guess kind of moving on from Ray and the Last Dragon, the motion picture side that's coming out within theaters for Disney that they announced, Hocus Pocus 2.
Mhm.
It's a sequel where Adam Shankman is directing that.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
not too familiar with his work. I did hear about the sequel,
yeah.
and I remember reading his name, but I'm not super familiar with what he's done. But I mean, like, I like Hocus Pocus. I'm not one of the people that's like just goes ape shit over it, like, you know.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but but I mean, I'll admit, like, I like it. Like, I like watching it. It's just I'm not I'm not one of those people that's, oh my god, it's Hocus Pocus, it's the best movie ever. Oh!
Oh,
Um,
it's so bad. Oh, so Adam Shankman was the guy who he directed like A Walk to Remember and The Pacifier and the
oh,
new Reflake Hairspray. He was the dude. He's also a judge on seasons 3 to 10 of So You Think You Can Dance.
oh, okay.
So he's that guy.
He's that guy.
He's that guy. More kind of, I think
Um,
that's more of the thing. He's like, he is that guy, that guy.
so
Um,
a few things that popped up that I was pretty excited for.
yep,
The the new shows that are based on movies like Big Hero 6 and
yeah,
Zootopia Plus,
hmm
like Big Hero 6, in my opinion, just got completely swept under the rug because it came out right around the time that Frozen did. And we all know what happened when Frozen came out. Everyone lost their goddamn
oh,
minds and were just, oh my God, Frozen, let it go, let it go. And yeah, everyone was like, Big Hero 6, what is that? I don't know.
right.
But yeah, like Baymax, in my opinion, is one of like the most lovable characters of all time. Like he's just
Yeah,
like it,
ba la la la. Yeah,
it it doesn't get any better than, and like Zootopia, like that was one of the first movies that we showed to Charlie when he was younger.
hmm
And like he's just, both him and Aaron, they love animals. So I'm
yeah.
really excited for these shows that are coming out on Disney Plus that are based on these movies.
Well, I'm just
Especially since, sorry, didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
you're good.
Especially since Zootopia, like it'll be centered around like the DMV sloth and the dancing tigers. And like, by the way, like the DMV sloth is like the best, like, if you want to call it casting, I guess it's
Ah,
like the best choice of animal for an employee at the DMV. Like,
without a
you know,
doubt.
God bless the people that work at the DMV. You know, it's not a knock on them, but like everyone can admit that things at the DMV go slow, and casting a sloth in the role of a DMV employee is fucking fantastic.
That's
Um,
it's fantastic. And
yeah.
I'm right there with you. We did the same thing with our girls with Zootopia. In fact, for a long time, with my oldest, we would play uh, instead of cops and robbers, it was the weasel.
Okay.
Somebody was the weasel, and the other person was Judy Hopps, and running around. And the jail would be the bathroom, and we'd close the door. And then the person would open it up and we'd be like, no nail polish, and like slam back the door.
Right.
Open it back up and be like, no lawyer, and shut the door. And I'm like, whoa, this got real quick.
That's funny. Uh, but yeah, another one that I was kind of confused about until like I had to read more about it and then watch like the very small trailer that they had.
hmm
But the the Pixar movie, just Lightyear, the one that's supposed to be based on the guy that's that Buzz Lightyear is based off of.
Yes.
Do you remember seeing
Mhm.
that? Yeah.
I
And
do.
like the casting for that is also excellent. Like having Chris Evans voice Lightyear is like incredible. Like like I couldn't have picked a better choice myself. Like, you know, uh it's
It's
just great.
no, yeah, it's so funny. And then you have when you have him playing it, and then you have all these other people, these diehard Toy Story fans,
Mhm.
which I think have to be shared off from like the bad sect of Star Wars fans. You know, where
Sure.
they're the ones that are like, "Oh no, it's not this place. It's not this ride. We're gonna tear it down." Dude, shut up. Um,
Right.
it's the Star Wars stuff is made for kids, and you're a nerd because you like it. That's great. That's awesome. It's not going to match your expectations. Sit down.
Mhm.
Um, but for Buzz Lightyear, having that thing where it's the real person instead of being voiced by Tim Allen,
Mhm.
having Chris Evans play it is just
Yeah.
so much easier to see that same character and you set the difference.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure if
Yeah,
you've ever
for
you
sure.
go to toy stores and you see, you hear the recorded voice on the action figures
Mhm.
and they sound similar but nothing alike
Right.
the
Like
actual
they
people.
both yeah, the Tim Allen and Chris Evans, like they both have that very like heroic masculine tone or timbre to their voice. Like,
Mhm.
"Hi ho Silver, away." Like I mean
Avengers
not like a horse,
assemble.
but
Yeah.
right. But like, they both have that very like, Americana, we're going to save the day kind of feel to their voice. So I'm really excited about him, getting into the voice acting realm and especially in this capacity, doing the voice for a film in one of my favorite Disney franchises of all time. It's very exciting.
Could you
Um
imagine if they did a Toy Story version of the Marvel characters and you
uh,
had Tim Allen voicing Captain America
uh,
instead of Chris
uh
Evans? Or, you've got like C-list actors or impressionists
right.
getting getting their voiceover debut in this little short.
That would certainly be interesting.
That would
Um,
it would be crazy.
yeah. We also, we got the little bit of a look into the theatrical live action slash animated thing on the Chippendale Rescue Rangers
Yep.
with John Mulaney and Andy Samberg. Pretty excited
Mhm.
about that. I was a big Chippendales um, fan growing up, so that's going to
Dude,
be really exciting.
after school, Chip and Dale, DuckTales,
Yeah.
and Gargoyles.
Yes, gargoyles.
Oh, they need to do a Gargoyles movie with just full budget behind it,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
and it
that'd
would
be
launch a whole new
awesome.
franchise.
Right.
But then
The
you also got Pinocchio,
right.
like
Yeah.
Tom Hanks with Pinocchio.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
That I'm really hoping, though, that especially since it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, that they change it slightly to where it's not going to be not necessarily change it, but kind of like make it more obvious of the subtle tones that were originally crafted into the film,
Hmm.
into the original, where it was talking about the exploitation of the youth, not just in the regular everyday work, but in Hollywood.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure. Like that seems to be happening. It seems to be a constant with these Disney remakes. And especially with the live action remakes, is that they're making it a point to not just make the original movie, but in live action format. Like, I didn't see the new Mulan, but I've heard it was, you know, aside from the bone structure of the original, kind of imported into the live
Yeah.
action. Aside from that, like it's pretty different. Like there wasn't any music. the dragon voiced by Eddie Murphy, he wasn't in the picture. And then I've heard, I haven't seen the live action Lion King, but I've heard that was a little different as well. So yeah, I could definitely see with the live action or reimagining of Pinocchio, them just doing something not completely different, but
Yeah.
definitely different in some right. So
It's totally different with, especially so with Lion King, you had a nearly shot for shot remake. You had some things that were kind of different.
mhm.
Um, new song here or there, but it was quite almost literally shot for shot,
Yeah.
where all they did is update the animation. It's like, why is this called live action? All of these animals are CGI. This is not live action. This is animated, and it's a shot for shot remake.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Oliver, for playing this bird. You were fantastic at this voice. Trust me, I like you so much better than whoever that other guy was. But
I can't remember who did the original voice of what was that, Zazu? No.
Zazu, who played Zazu, only thing I remember is Jonathan Taylor Thomas playing Little Simba.
Right, yeah.
But having that, but then you have Mulan, which goes more of a historical
Mhm.
aspect to it, right? It kind of goes this whole. Um, it appeals mainly to the Chinese audience
Yeah,
on
and
the Chinese fantasy. Yeah,
yeah, and that ended up not working out well for them at all. Like apparently the Chinese viewing audience fucking hated it. Like from what I've read, like
yeah.
they were not happy with it
They're like,
for whatever reason. I'm not sure.
I wanted to sing along with "Make a Man Out of You," but you couldn't let me do that. You took out Mushu. Who takes out Mushu?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
took
I
out
know.
Mushu. Did you put him
Yeah,
in the Guy Pan? Come on.
I see what you did there.
It's a Chinese
I,
food joke. That's a Chinese food joke.
right. Well, let's move on from the Disney stuff to Star Wars.
Oh my gosh.
We there
So
was
much. So much stuff.
so much stuff. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to hit the highlights if we want to include everything in this episode. Um, I don't know. So as far as Star Wars stuff goes, like I'm really pumped about the Obi-Wan Kenobi
With
show.
yes, without a doubt.
That's got me really excited. I'm hoping that they can, like, the Mandalorian has really got me excited. And of course we're going to get to the Mandalorian here in just a little bit, but like the fact that they pulled that off so well, like really has me excited for all this Star Wars stuff. Especially Obi-Wan Kenobi and bringing back Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Just has me really excited. I don't know what, Jeff, what are you stoked about in terms of the Star Wars stuff?
I'll take E for everything. Um,
Yeah, same.
like Obi-Wan is going to be fantastic. I think the biggest thing right now is that it has transitioned from Lucas and from Kathleen Kennedy to Dave Filoni.
Yes,
Like
I
it's
agree.
been and John Favreau. Like it's been that transition. People who have been in the industry but have been on the surely creative side,
Hmm.
both in front of the camera and behind, mainly behind for Dave in the writing for
Yeah,
Dave Filoni, who started out, with Avatar
right.
and how good that show was with Nickelodeon and having that expressive animated freedom and that deep, deep lore. I'm excited to
Right.
see Obi-Wan and where they're going to take the Obi-Wan character in those missing years that we haven't seen. I'm incredibly stoked for Ahsoka.
Hmm. Yeah.
I am just going to go ahead and put it out there, um, which is, again, the word on the street. They haven't officially released it or anything else, but uh, having our favorite blue guy, I'm just going to say it like that, um, within that role, having Ezra Bridger come back.
Hmm.
having everybody, basically this Rebel sequel series being Ahsoka.
Right.
I can see that happening. The Bad Batch is going to be interesting. We're going to see more filler material that's going to, I think, pair up even better with Mandalorian.
Now, the Bad Batch, I'm not super familiar with that. That came out of the Clone Wars, didn't it?
Yeah, the
Or
Clone Wars final season did a short little 3 episode arc. So, and they kind of did it that way, where they started off with Ahsoka, and you got to see these two sisters in this kind of like lower end of Coruscant, which I imagine we're going to run into them in the Ahsoka series again,
Mhm.
because they're not just set up for nothing. You have the 3 episode arc of the Bad Batch, where Rex and the crew and they all have this conundrum that they have to figure out, where all the droids are suddenly now being able to predict what had happened, right? That final season, and that's where the Bad Batch comes from. And then you have the rest of the season where Ahsoka and family like totally kick the crap out of everybody else in Mandalore, and this
Right.
one of the best lightsaber fights I've ever seen in all of Star Wars or in all of YouTube.
Yeah.
Ahsoka versus Darth Maul.
One other thing, as far as the Star Wars stuff goes, Rogue Squadron. So I don't know if this is supposed to be
Oh,
inspired by the N64 game or what, but like, I am pumped about this. I'm not sure how I feel about Patty Jenkins directing it, but I'm holding out hope because it was one of my favorite N64 games of all time. Geoff, thoughts? What do you think?
I'm so excited for Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
I trust, and here's what I'm going to say is that I trust Patty Jenkins. And this might end up biting me,
It may.
but it may. But here's what I'll cite. Everybody loved the first Wonder Woman movie,
Mhm.
right? Patty Jenkins directed that. It was set in a World War II style area, right?
Mhm.
Star Wars is based off of World War II with the fighting and the ship's battles and the dog fights.
Sure.
All of those are based off of World War II. So if anybody knows their way around that type of mindset within those characters,
Mhm.
within the style of dogfighting and what it takes for the angles and what it takes to be better.
It's Roger Deakins.
If it's a
Sorry.
female, I mean, I would, if it's a girl, I'm definitely going to say, Patty Jenkins is up there.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot of people who are up there, in knowing that who's going to be better. But Patty Jenkins has been chosen for this role. I think she's going to do just fine.
Mhm.
Like, and whether we all like it or not, or we trust her or not, we have to all admit to ourselves, we're still going to buy tickets.
Right.
We're
For
still
sure.
going to go see the freaking movie.
Mhm.
And if we don't like it, we'll just see it 5 more times instead of 10.
Exactly.
We'll watch 3 or 4 less YouTube videos on how many
Right.
Easter eggs are found inside this movie and how they tie into the rest of it.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Uh, okay. So let's move on to the Marvel slash MCU stuff.
Okay.
Um so there's a lot to unpack here as well. Um like a lot. Like Fantastic Four is finally coming to the MCU. We got some hard set in stone dates on release dates
hmm
as far as the Disney Plus shows. Like WandaVision, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, stuff like that. Which
WandaVision,
is
which, depending on the time of you're listening to this, is most likely airing now on Disney Plus on Fridays.
yeah, I mean it could, it's very possible that someone that's listening to this WandaVision has already been out. this episode is due out first week of January, which I believe is the 6th. But yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm excited for like everything basically. Especially Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like I think that is like the buddy cop comedy that we need right now in the MCU. Like I'm so ready for it.
I am ready for a Marvel procedural.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, we got that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Hmm.
And then when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went completely like, okay, look, we're going to try to play inside the canon. And then they stopped playing inside the canon and then started doing their own thing. And things just started going off the freaking rails.
That's what
And
I
you're,
heard.
and you're just like, dude, it got so much better.
Yeah.
Like they went forward in time. They time jumped back and forth. They did their own thing. Everybody got their own powers. Like Quake. And then Quake, who was a character, like a small character in comics, got blown up because of the show,
Hmm.
is now an essential character in. She was a huge founding character in one of the Marvel animated shorts that's out now that you can see on Disney Plus and Disney now, like the Girl Adventures where it talks about Miss Marvel.
Hmm.
She is one of the founding people who helps out Miss Marvel and Miss America. And how you just like completely lead them as, young girls,
Right.
leading them to be women superheroes. That's where they start off. And there's a good rumor that's going around that has gotten from uh, several places that Chloe Bennett, who plays Quake, is going to be in future Marvel properties and maybe a future Marvel movie. So that makes sense that if she's going to be in anything, she's going to be in Ms. Marvel,
Hmm.
which they've already cast Miss America, who apparently, again, according to rumors, so take this with a grain of salt, is going to be appearing in WandaVision, which is going to
Yeah.
set the whole thing just explode everything. Spider Verse.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a Falcon. Loki decides to go crazy and then decides to go back and become a detective. Marvel zombies. I
Yeah.
am Groot. Like the Guardians of the
Uh,
Galaxy holiday special. Like, oh my gosh.
yeah. I lost my shit when they announced Christian Bale is cast in the
Oh,
next Thor movie. Like I
Thor
don't,
the God Butcher. Oh my
I
gosh.
know, like I never heard of that character, but I'm like, I already know that dude's a fucking badass. Like he owns like just it's in the name.
Gore the God Butcher is the guy who is responsible and the main antagonist for Jane Foster becoming Thor for a while
Hmm.
because he beats Thor within like an inch of his life. And he's the only person who has ever done that or come close.
Right.
And then Jane Foster's got to take over. And that's where the whole like Love and Thunder portion
Right.
comes
Yeah.
in. Right.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
it's going to be so amazing. And then Shang-Chi, it's like a
Hmm.
Marvel version of Enter the Dragon.
Yes, I'm so excited for that.
Oh, Fing Fang Foom, man. Oh my gosh.
Like an actual like 10 rings thing. Like I'm actually in the middle of reading no, it's not Spider-Man. It's Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man storyline, and they just introduced the rings, and so I'm learning a little bit about that through the comic book lore. So yeah, pretty excited to learn a little bit more about that
Yeah.
as it pertains to the comics. So
Oh yeah, and you'll see that carry over
right.
a lot, right? Because that's, I mean, you'll see all the source material, then you'll be the expert on the 10 rings and what the 10 rings mean, where they come from. You know, why did Fing Fang Foom give them away? You know what they really are
Hmm.
and that mindset. But I do want
Yeah.
to just talk for a second, really quick. Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness.
Hmm. Yep. This is going to be interesting.
Sam Raimi.
God, I love it. I love it so much.
Okay, just that one scene. I want to take everybody back to Spider-Man 2. And the scene where the arms are coming to life for the first time
Hmm.
and wreaking horrendous horror on the nursing staff. And you see those fingernails come out and swirling back.
Hmm.
And it's just like a shrill moment. And then you think of like Evil Dead.
Right.
And then you think of, I also come to mind with Army of Darkness. I'm like, that's going to be amazing. And I really
Yeah.
hope in some form or fashion, Ash makes a appearance.
I feel
He's in
like,
he's in
yeah, I
Marvel
feel like you
Zombies. I'm
will.
just saying. He's in Marvel Zombies.
Right. But like having Sam Raimi direct that, like such a great pick.
This is my boomstick. Um well, I see your boomstick and I raise you an eye of Agamotto.
Right.
That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange Eternals is going to be I'm iffy. That's the only Marvel property that has been announced that I'm
Mhm.
iffy on. Secret Invasion, I knew it was going to happen. Once you bring in the what had happened in the past few movies is bound to happen, right?
Right.
Um, Armor Wars, yeah, Don Cheadle needs money. Great.
Cheadle needs money.
That's the subtitle in my mind to Armor Wars. Armor Wars. Don Cheadle needs money.
I
Airing soon
uh,
on Disney Plus.
I love the idea of Ironheart, like someone reverse engineering Tony Stark's armor, like
Have you seen
that.
the comic for that?
Uh, n- I want to say yes. Like
Dude,
I
she's
feel,
awesome.
yeah, I feel like I had I saw a glimpse of it either at the comic book store or maybe at McKay's.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited about that. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I guess that's set to come out next.
Christmas 2023.
Really? Is it
Yeah.
really 2 years? Damn.
It's
All
two
right.
it's 2 years away. Um
Uh, I guess
there's
that
there's a
makes
lot of
sense.
there's a lot of stuff to happen. Oh no, excuse me, 2022.
Oh, okay,
I can't read. That's my problem.
you're doing great.
I'm doing great. I'm trying. Huh?
Yeah. So I spoke briefly about Fantastic Four. So I know we haven't had a great track record with Fantastic Four, like at all. But I'm glad that they're finally bringing it to the MCU. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that this kind of confirms the fan theory that um, Stark sold Stark Tower in New York because the Fantastic Four bought it.
And it became the Baxter building?
Yes, like
Yeah.
that fan theory is like one of the very few fan theories to me that like actually made sense. Like when I heard it, I think it was a YouTube video that I watched, and the dude brought up all these points to why it could be true. I was like, all that makes perfect sense. Um, and now that we finally have confirmation that Fantastic Four is coming into the MCU, I'm like I don't know. I'm holding out hope that it's going to be good. And I think, do they confirm John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic?
No.
That's just kind of like hearsay, or
That is hearsay. Him and Emily Blunt, um, being the husband and wife team that they
Mhm.
are. One, if that doesn't happen, I think people will be disappointed. Because
Right.
in all honesty, I want to see Reed Richards look through the blinds and just give the camera a Jim face.
Yeah.
Like randomly, or somebody from like the Hall of Richards or something, you know, like just hanging out with the Watchers, and he just kind of like looks and just kind of goes that, you know, that shrug little kind of grin, or he, you know, he's talking with the Human Torch, and he's like, "Look, I need you to promise to be on your best behavior with this girl that's coming over tonight, okay? Be on the best behavior." Sorry, I already promised somebody else that I'd be on my worst behavior. Sorry.
With Operation Overthrow and everything.
Right. And
I
turns
would
out
like to I would like to join the fist. Well, actually, unfortunately, you've been denied, so
you,
sorry.
you've been
All right. Well,
so
let's
somebody comes out as being assistant to the general manager of the
of the
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
If John Krasinski comes in the Fantastic Four, Rainn Wilson has to make his appearance as their like butler or like
Right.
general manager, or you know, assistant to the general manager. I'm assistant to Mr. Fantastic.
Or like Samuel L. Chang.
Yeah. Right. Like
Mr. Scarn.
somebody
Threat level midnight.
they need to make a threat level midnight Marvel movie
I've heard that
so
the
bad.
the full threat level midnight movie is available on YouTube. Like the
Yes, it
I
is.
haven't watched it,
I
but
have. It is
it,
absolutely the best thing you have ever seen, with the
that's
exception of those previously stated that we've already stated in this episode.
yeah. I was about to say that's high praise
It's.
for free YouTube viewing.
Do you remember watching Community and you had like they had like, you know, Power Fist, or not Power Fist, like uh Power Kick or whatever it was, like their super negative thing, like their cheesy movie was.
I think so. I was
It's
never a big watcher of Community. It's been on my list of things to watch, but
um one, you're gonna absolutely enjoy the heck out of it, and you probably will get enjoy Abed so much more. Um, but it is that level of cheese. It is the cheesy 80ish movies. It fits right in with the original Captain America movie.
oh yeah,
So that cheesy early 90s crap, yeah,
okay.
it's there.
Well,
Starring Michael Scott.
speaking of Michael Scott and Captain America, how about that Mandalorian season 2?
Oh,
That was a terrible segue. I apologize.
that was the best segue ever.
No, false.
I
False.
like to
Black Bear.
I will say that is a bear and a beat of a segue.
Yeah, so I
Season 2. Oh my
only
gosh.
cried like 17 times. And in my opinion, there was hardly an ounce of fat in this season. It was perfectly paced, and each episode made perfect sense and fit in with the others. Like there wasn't anything that I was like, that seems out of left field. Like I fucking loved it. It stayed true to its like space western form.
It it did, and then it deepened the lore. I liked seeing uh okay, so much. I'm trying to organize my thoughts because right now they're
Yeah,
just in a pleasure bubble. It's
yeah.
like
There's definitely a lot to unpack here.
if you imagine Grogu and all those like beautiful eggs from the frog lady,
Hmm.
those are my thoughts right now. And I'm like Grogu up against the glass, like all those pleasurable thoughts. Um, that was weird. Anyway, but you have okay, so you have like one, the crate dragon,
Hmm.
which not only like explains everything on how Boba Fett got out
Right.
in a, you know, in a throwaway line, and how the armor came back and whatever, how the how Tusken Raiders work, and how we got to like deep in that lore that we haven't seen before ever
Hmm.
on how the Tuscan Raiden culture is. Um, then we get to
Yeah,
see
that was
freaking
really
Bo
cool.
Katan in the live action, in her whole thing, and the whole Mandalorians helping out Mandalorians. Yeah, totally get that. But then I think if anything, no, there wasn't even a filler. Like I don't think there was one filler episode.
I mean, there's no room for filler episodes. It's only 8 episodes
Yeah,
per season so far. Um, so there really isn't any room for filler episodes, which
no,
is
yeah,
great. But yeah, that first episode of season 2, like I was like the girl from The Ring when they open up the closet. It's like I saw her face, and like you open up the closet, and the girl's like like the jaws like 2 feet off of her face. Like that was me the entire episode. Like especially the last like 20 minutes, where just crazy shit is going down. I was like, this is the first episode. Like holy shit, what is happening?
oh
Like
my gosh, yes,
insanity. Like
yes.
so good. And the effects, like okay, so fast forwarding a lot to precisely to the very end, like
Right.
they're getting a lot better with the face swapping and facial regeneration business. With obviously, I'm talking about the cameo of Luke Skywalker.
Played by
Um,
Mark Hamill and
right.
de-aged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure how that was done. I'm not, but all I got to say is that technology is catching up finally. Um, I mean, I still think that stuff like this should be used sparingly. You know, it's like a fine spice, just a little bit, just a sprinkle. But yeah,
Just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit.
right. But like, holy shit, it got me. And it was almost enough feels for me to forget the fact that it was spoiled for me.
Oh my
Did you
gosh.
did you see my post on Facebook by
I
chance, like
I did. You were
that
just
morning, where
so
I was
mad.
like,
You were
dude, like,
livid.
I know, I was. It was like 7 o'clock that morning. Like it's kind of like one of my morning traditions. Like before I get up out of bed, I check
Mhm.
my notifications and see if I got anything urgent that I gotta spring
I
out of bed for.
I
And
think
if
that's
there's
most first world person who has a phone.
right, yeah,
We're gonna get up out
um,
of bed and we're gonna be in the bathroom and we are going to check our phones on where
right,
we're at. And
yeah,
okay, I've got all these notifications. Ooh, I got new followers on TikTok.
yeah. But there was this Facebook group that I am no longer a part of. Um, I it was something really really geeky, like the Alliance of Star Wars Fanatics or some shit like that. But like there's a rule in the group that they allow spoilers, and 7 o'clock Friday morning, the day that episode came out, I'm not sure if the episode is released at midnight or what. I'm assuming that new episodes are released at midnight.
It's
um
midnight Pacific time, so it comes out about 3 in the morning for Eastern, 2 and etc.
okay. Okay. But yeah, so I was like, you dickhead. Like, it's 7 o'clock the day of that. This, like, not everyone has the opportunity to stay up until midnight to watch the fucking show. Like, he was like, there's no need to call me names or use that language. Like, this group allows spoilers. And I was like, that doesn't make it right. Like, this is an integral part of the show. Like, and like, he disabled comments on his posts like 5 minutes after that because I was not the only one giving him shit for that. Anyways, that's another side tangent that I unfortunately went off on, but I was obviously I'm still a little heated that it was spoiled for me because it's Geoff, as you know, it was a huge moment in this season, right?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
if one I had parts of it. I'm right there with you. I had parts of it spoiled for me as well. I tried my best to stay off of any social media. I knew Facebook for me in the groups that I'm in wasn't going to be as bad. Um, Twitter is my bad point because I can't filter that.
Right.
And the people that I follow, or even the people that I follow that retweet the other people or the suggestions of whatever that appears in my feed, come up and are like, "Oh my gosh, guys, you can't." Wait, I'm like, "Dude, shut up." I see that and I'm just like, "Nope, I don't want to check any." Nope. And then I watched that last episode and I'm like, "A single X-wing. Okay, who could that be? Who could that be? Oh, this is dark robed figure. Oh, with a green lightsaber. I think I know this person." Like
Right.
I played really dumb. I
That
willingly played dumb
see,
while I
that's
watched the episode so I could
yeah.
get that.
Yeah, that's what I do anytime I watch a movie. Like I turn my brain off. That whole part of your brain that tries to figure things out before they're actually revealed on screen, I shut that shit down because I want to be genuinely surprised by stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I want to be genuinely surprised by some twists and turns.
Mhm.
Um, Other ones, depending on how invested in the movie I am.
Right.
For me, like I could tell. Um, but with others, like especially kind of with Star Wars, like I'm with you. I will sometimes willingly turn my brain off, or if it's something that the lore that I've already watched has established, or like in the first case of like the Marvel, something that I've read with Cobb Vath,
Mhm.
where he was in the Aftermath novels and made his appearance, and it's like, okay, we're doing this now. Okay, the whole story people that we all heard about earlier. Okay, this is kind of cool. Sure. But then you hear this like absolute pandemonium. And then I did notice something though. This episode. Um, and I'm not sure if anybody else noticed it. Probably did. The lines that Luke did parodies his father in Rogue One with the Dark
Uh,
Troopers.
um
With the
how so?
so um Darth Vader in Rogue One, right? The first time we actually get to see Darth Vader in person, it being legitimately Darth Vader,
Right.
right? Where he just goes absolute bonkers, lifts people up to the ceiling, you know, prevents the whole thing and goes, force nuts.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I thought this is exact same thing. I was like, this is very reminiscent of that, second to last scene in the movie where he just goes balls to the wall,
Yeah.
throwing dudes around like nothing.
But then and all that happened and you see that and he does that final crush where he crushes the heart inside a
Mhm.
very dark side move.
Right.
But Luke Skywalker's like a kid playing with gasoline. He has no idea.
Right.
He doesn't know the good side from the dark. Right now, he's a Bendu. He doesn't care. He knows the dark side, like the super dark side, but he doesn't know like how force lightning can suddenly hurt you. Oh no, wait, he does. Thanks, Palps.
Right.
Do it. I can feel your anger.
I can feel your anger. I can't do a good Palpatine.
Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper.
No, no, you will die. I can't
What
do
the
it
heck is
without
it? What the heck is an aluminum falcon?
Palpatine. Wait. What the hell is an aluminum falcon? God,
What do you mean
robot.
they blew it up?
Shit. Okay.
But
So,
oh, dude,
yeah. Go
The
final thoughts on Mandalorian season 2.
final thoughts, Mandalorian season 2. The point of that I got most excited about, not only Luke Skywalker saying and setting up Rey with his line of without talent or without training, talent is useless,
Mm-hmm.
which is a not only a life skill that everybody needs to take heed of,
True.
and sets up and explains Rey and how wandering and pointless she is in the first 2 films. And then finally, when she gets training, she's good and, has direction in the third.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we get to explain that path from here in this Easter egg. But the best point for me, the most surprising aspect that wasn't spoiled for me was R2D2 coming out.
Dude, I was like, oh no, it's R2. And
R2D2 came out. Right. I didn't cry, but I was like, it's R2.
Yeah. So good.
I screamed at the TV worse than the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio recognizing something else on TV. Like it was that, and I was like, and the fact that he recognized. There's a rumor thing going around that is like he recognized Grogu
Mm-hmm.
and was excited to see him again. Which
Interesting.
Lucas points out that R2D2 is the person of who the whole Star Wars films, the perspective that they're being told by.
I've heard that.
Because his mind has never been wiped.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the Clone Wars saga, his mind's not wiped ever.
Right.
It's always C-3PO.
Mm-hmm.
Which we find out is kind of pointless in episode 9.
Yeah.
Thanks, backups.
Right. Okay. So transitioning from the Mandalorian, hard right turn, left turn, kind of diving back into superhero stuff with Wonder Woman 84. I got some complicated feelings about this movie.
Oh, you do?
Once again, spoiler alert. So for those that haven't seen it yet, so this movie came out on Christmas Day. It was available on HBO Max and in theaters. I guess only AMC.
Yeah, at the
Regal is shut down.
AMC and Cinemark. I don't think Cinemark shut down. For those listeners who have Cinemark, but AMC national chain is besides like AMC and Regal.
Yeah,
are the only ones working right now.
Yep. So overall, I liked it. I thought it was
okay.
Generally an okay film.
Okay.
I thought that the acting performances were pretty good. I thought they were great by Godot and both her and Wig. I thought they were great in their respective roles, especially considering the material that they had to work with. I thought that the script was not great, to put it lightly. I just thought that the storyline and plot, for the most part, was just a tired, storied cliche that we've seen over and over again. Like I get like
it was a comic book.
Kinda like, I mean, it played out like a comic book, and so that part I appreciated. It felt like a comic book story, but it also felt like just a very tired movie trope or cliched storyline that we've all seen like a million times. Like the everyone making fun of Avatar because it's just a ripoff of Fern Gully, which is just a ripoff of Shakespeare in Love, which is just just being ridiculous at this point.
I'm about to say I've never heard the Fern Gully and Shakespeare in Love. I have heard Avatar and Fern Gully.
Yes. No,
but not
I was just being stupid.
Shakespeare in Love. I
Um,
honestly thought that Ferngully was a ripoff of Short Circuit, and then
hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
that
Um,
I'm just kidding. I'm also joking.
anyways, Jeff, what are your thoughts on Wonder Woman 84?
Um, my thoughts on Wonder Woman 84. No, Ferngully was a ripoff of The Godfather. That's what it was.
All right.
What it was. Anyway, um, no. So Wonder Woman 84, I enjoyed it as well. One of the things that kind of set me off or set me into the mindset is that it played out like a Linda Carter Wonder Woman episode.
For sure. Yeah.
Like it played out like a Linda Carter episode, like the typical season that you would see in Linda Carter. One of
Yeah,
the things,
like it had that little bit of like 80s cheese factor to it.
right? And
Yeah.
it was prefaced in the
Mhm.
whole film. If you paid attention with
To
the
the
way
title.
to the right, not only to the title, but the title gives you the setting, right?
Hmm.
But the way that the title appeared on screen, it appeared on screen in a moving full color shot, establishing
Hmm.
in digital lines, and then turning down right into WW84.
Right.
Tell me that's not the most cheesy 80 action film opening ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the opening to Total Recall.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to that. Like I do know what you're talking about. I do recall seeing that.
Right.
Um, I was just paying attention mostly to the look and feel of the opening scene, and I was in awe, honestly, because the opening of the first Wonder Woman, I'm not going to say it wasn't great. Like it was fun to watch, but the CG was so like over overbearing, I guess. Like it was so incredibly like you so transparently CG. Like you could tell that they're just in this big warehouse like but the opening establishing shot, the big land swooping landscape shots, like you could tell that they actually filmed on location somewhere.
Oh,
that obviously they
without a
did.
doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously they did use some green screen work, with the arena and the competitions and stuff. But like, the big, I don't know if it was drone or helicopter shots, over the mountains and stuff. Like that was real life. That was a location. And that I definitely appreciated because the CG in the first one really took me out. But
Yeah.
um
I'm right there with you. The CG in the first one kind of acted more like Justice League,
yeah.
uh, where everything was like Sin City
Hmm.
almost. But with this one, I did really enjoy the on location shoots, in particular DC.
Yeah.
Um, and it's only for a personal reason because I came from DC like a year ago.
Hmm.
So all of DC is still fresh in my mind. And seeing one of the best parts of DC for me was the subway. Absolutely adore the DC subway.
Okay. What
Uh,
about the DC subway?
have you been there?
No, I have not.
Okay. So inside the DC subway, one, they captured it beautifully in this movie. The inside of the subway, every single subway station in DC looks like that. They're at one of the central like exchanging hubs right there
Hmm.
within that scene, but every one of them has that big inside spacious tunnel with the almost like Roman architecture. Where it's
Okay.
like the squares, the indented cubes that are all across that are in there, and you have the red brick
Hmm.
everywhere else where it feels designed with a purpose to where it takes out the noise of the subway. You have sound
Interesting.
you have sound muffling on the top of the subway. The long gigantic escalator that they go down is
Right.
like that. It's like that. I remember seeing that and being like, "Oh my gosh, this is a gigantic escalator. This would be fun to slide down one day."
Right.
I didn't get to officially, but I mean, still going in there and riding the subway and going to those stations. That took me back and going been there, and then going to the Smithsonian and seeing like the Air and Space Museum and seeing the fact that it still looks like that, even if it looked like that from '84, and they're still saying it looked like that from in 1984.
hmm
Um, it still looks like that now on the inside. None of those pieces have changed.
Nice.
So, I mean, they were shooting in 2017. They wrapped in 2018. No, excuse me. They filmed it all from June to December of 2018. So, all of those aspects, right? A year later, still there. But the Smithsonian, the park, they shot a lot of scenes in Memorial Park because of where she worked at the Smithsonian, which all of that, as you know, group of museums. Which, fun fact, just in case all you listeners don't know, when you go to DC, if you go to DC, all of those museums are free.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's one thing that fucking kicks ass about
yeah,
DC. All the free stuff that's
all the free
available.
stuff that's in DC. But the street, like right in front of the Capitol building, um, where all of the people are panicked and you see that shot down, that cliche shot straight down, like being there for me to see that, and I could honestly go for the first time that I have ever seen in a new movie. I could go, been there, been there, been there, been there. Um,
That's
my,
cool.
my wife was, we were watching, I was watching it with my wife, and she was like, "Will you just shut up?" Um, so I mean, that part was fun to see all those parts with the principal location. I mean, and they shot in London. They saw it in Duxford. They saw it in the Canary Islands.
hmm
Right, that's where um, the mascara is. They shot in Andalusia, Spain. They have little time jumps here and there, and they brought a lot of the main comic book aspects to this character back to Wonder Woman. Um,
Right.
the invisible jet
hmm
they brought in um, with her whole Zeus making it invisible thing. I liked how they did that and how it added tension
Right.
to this aspect. It was very cheesy, but when they started doing that and I saw the jet, I'm like, I think they're gonna do invisible jet.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, that was a lot of fun. I like
Yeah.
that. And then when she started flying, I mean, I'm not too super familiar with the Wonder Woman comics and the lore that goes behind it. So I'm
She
not
flew in the comics. She flies in the comics.
okay. Um, yeah, I just wasn't sure, but uh, I thought that was pretty well done. I didn't think it was too cheeseball. Um, I thought there was an appropriate amount of cheese ball and
Yeah.
cheesiness to the movie. That was kind of like the least of my um, issues with it. Not
Yeah.
really eye rolly when it comes to that. So
The only thing eye rolly that I have is one, the lasso of truth and the way the lasso of truth acts.
okay,
So okay, one, um they're in Egypt, right? Which is most likely shot in Spain.
hmm
And they are, driving down this highway, action scene with a whole bunch of big trucks, explosions happening, trucks crashing, 3 kids are playing football in the middle of the street.
Right.
And I'm thinking, you kids seriously don't hear the big trucks, the explosions, all this other stuff happening 3,000 yards away? I felt the Nashville blast in my home. You're telling me you don't feel those blasts? Like, what?
Did you really feel it?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were at 6:30. It was 6:30 in the morning. We felt it, and we thought they were still doing construction on Christmas Day.
Wow.
Um,
That's crazy that you felt it being
yeah,
so close. Or
there were,
I,
yeah,
I mean, you live in Antioch, right?
yeah, I live in Antioch. So, um, for those people who are not in Nashville, that's also known as the Southeast Ghetto of
uh,
Nashville. But those 3 kids playing football, I'm like, you guys don't hear this? What? And
right.
then, she cheesily saves the kids. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But she has to, like, in an illustration of her losing her powers based on the wish, she loses the grip on the lasso of truth. And then 5 seconds later, the lasso is back on her hip.
Hmm.
I'm like, does this thing act as like Spider-Man webbing or like retractable thing? How does this work? Like, I don't get the, like, she can lasso, she takes it off to lasso things,
Mm-hmm.
but does then she put it back on? She's lassoing lightning and it's not back on her hip.
Right.
So maybe a continuity error, but that happened like a few times. And even in the final, in the third act, right there at the climax, where she's like, slyly using the lasso of truth around his foot. Which now, if you watch it chronologically with Wonder Woman 84 and then Justice League,
Mm-hmm.
with her and Aquaman, makes total sense on how she would do that for a laugh.
To this day, I still have not seen Aquaman. I don't know why. Obviously, I have HBO Max, so I can go watch it.
You can't.
I just for whatever reason haven't gotten around to watching it. I don't know why. But yeah,
It's Superman underwater.
that's what I've heard more or
Or
less.
it's kind of more like Thor underwater
Okay,
with Aquaman.
sure.
I
But
ki-
anyways,
I kind of want to see Namor.
sure.
Rather, he's more like a Black Adam. But yeah, no. Wonder Woman 84 was. I liked it. I don't get the hate. I don't get. My whole thing is it's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree. Like, it's not that bad. Like, it didn't blow my socks off. It didn't blow my hair back, but I enjoyed it. Like I still hold true to what I was saying earlier about the Star Wars movies. How you just you got to learn to enjoy something and not take things so seriously every once in a while. So, and this is a case where I need to take a heaping spoon of my own medicine, and just enjoy it for what it is, a piece of entertainment.
Yeah,
Plain and
like
simple.
it was a piece of entertainment. I think they did the best with Cheetah that they could.
Mhm.
Kristen Wiig, I think she stole the show.
Yeah, I feel like
Her
they
her acting.
dragged her. I think they dragged her arc out too long. Like they should have brought her in as Cheetah a lot sooner
I
instead of
thought,
like the third
yeah.
act.
Well, I thought it was appropriate. I mean, they did when I watched it, I'm like, yeah, they're okay. They're doing a typical 5 act structure. Okay, great. I hate this.
Thanks, I hate it.
I, as a writer, the 5 act structure completely throws everything I've learned previously out the window, and it just frustrates the crap out of me.
Mhm.
Um, but that's a completely different topic. Um, but still, them doing that, I think it did take the appropriate amount of time, especially since she had to say the cheesy line for that wish. Like, I want to
Mhm.
be apex predator because I'm so sick of humanity.
Yeah, I mean, by
Okay.
that point, things had gotten a little ridiculous, like with all the wishing and stuff, and Pedro Pascal's character, where he's like, "Wish for everything, give me your wishes so I can grant them, and then take advantage of your wishes." Like, I'm just
I'm
like,
not gonna lie, he killed it.
I mean, he played that character really, really well.
Yeah.
Like, just that over the top, cheesy dude, cheesy,
TV
I mean,
salesman, con
yeah,
man.
that was a
Yeah.
big thing in the 80s, right? Like those Ponzi
Mhm.
schemes and pyramid schemes and all that shit that people
The
lost tons of money on.
Trump.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, look, I already heard my name come up in conversation. Okay. Look, I'm not going to confirm nor not confirm all the big things that happened to me in the 80s or
Trump.
how Maxwell Lord is actually based on me. Okay. Look, I've had the Maxwell Lord come up to me, tears in his eyes, saying, "Look, Donald J. Trump, you are like the best president ever."
This was in the 80s.
Okay, look, there's so much time that happens between other things. It was in the 80s. Look, you could talk to experts, okay, about things that happened in the 80s. He said I was
Right.
the best president, and I was like, of my foundation? He's like, yes. I was like, okay. But I was like, you know what? You give me a good idea. I took the good idea, and I just, I ran with it, and here I am. I'm the best president of all time ever. Right up there
Yeah.
with Abraham Lincoln.
All
um,
right. Well, yeah.
I did
So yeah, go ahead with final closing thoughts on Wonder Woman.
final closing thoughts on Wonder Woman. Okay, so I have two.
Okay.
First off, on the movie, um, the movie left one plot string for me kind of unresolved, which was what happened to the Wishing Stone after it disappeared ish
True.
out of Maxwell Lord. Like, did it reappear somewhere else? Is it
Hmm.
just gone into his bloodstream and later he will poop it out? So it will become the wish poop.
I'm gonna go with that one.
That's the
The
best
wish
version.
poop.
Well, hi
God damn it.
I'm full of voices. But so, what happened with that? Did that wish poop suddenly, is that the character that it turned into? Like, is that how DC and South Park are related? We don't know.
It comes out as McGolgothan from
It,
Dogma.
it
It's a shit demon. Pops out of a bar in the middle of nowhere where Salma Hayek is dancing almost topless.
being Salma Hayek. It pops.
Anyways,
It pops out as the Matt Damon version of Loki.
oh my god.
It'd be the trickster. Anyway, um, so that part kind of irritated me, uh, along with the fact that it was a small time jump and it was Christmas, and I'm like, I feel like they shot this in like post after everything was done
Mm-hmm.
when they finally re-announced it was going to come out on Christmas, just so they could say it's somewhat of a Christmas movie.
I don't know. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I feel like that is just a happy coincidence. I
A
could be
happy
wrong, but
coincidence that it came out on Christmas and it had the Christmas scene in the movie.
sure, why not?
What
Let's
is
go.
it? Die Hard?
I don't,
Jaws?
no, get it? Die Hard, because it's not a traditional Christmas movie. Do you
Not a.
get it?
Do you get it? So is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is not a traditional Disney movie. No,
Uh-huh.
it's just a movie we all try to forget, but I mean, that's okay too.
Poor Iron
Right?
Man 3.
Poor Iron Man.
I,
Anyway, and
I
then
I like it except for all the extremis bullshit. Well, okay, the extremis is fine if that was the actual plot to it, and not like this, looky loo, fucking
I am the Mandarin.
Mandarin. Yeah, like, like The Mandarin isn't even the. Don't get me started.
Yeah,
Don't get started, David. Don't get started.
we're not.
This
We're
isn't
not.
the time or
This is a
place.
DC show. DC show right
Yes. Yeah.
now.
Reel it in. Reel it in.
Okay. And second thing, final thoughts on just Wonder Woman, the character.
Okay.
I did not know this until this show and doing research for this show. That Wonder Woman was made up by a guy who's going under the pen name of Charles Moulton, whose real name was William Marston. And the Wonder Woman super fans in the audience are going, yes, yes, we know. Let's get on with it. He was a psychologist. His wife and him both invented the early prototype of the lie detector. He was a self-help author. And with his wife, Elizabeth, and their polyamorous life partner, Olive, influenced
Okay.
Wonder Woman's creation.
Interesting.
I'm like, so that explains a lot about Wonder Woman.
That explains a lot.
Okay, one, she has a lasso of truth, so and how truth is above everything else. Okay, so there's the self-help part.
Mhm.
And then you have how her only weakness early on in her run, her only weakness was having her gauntlets tied up by a man. I'm dead serious. Look it up. Her
Okay.
only weakness at the time was having her gauntlets tied up by a man. It's like BDSM in a comic. And that makes total sense when you're influenced by this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, well, there goes the psychologist part, as well as the polyamorous life partner. But then I have a question. This might have been answered in the first movie. I couldn't remember.
Okay.
How do the people on Themyscira reproduce?
Oh boy.
Was that answered in the first movie?
I'm not sure.
There's all the chicks, and there's nothing but chicks, which I totally get. And I'm like, do they have like a secret stash of semen somewhere?
Which just have a
Like,
sperm depository
are
hidden
there
away, like cryogenically, like just stashed away.
right? Like, are they just? Do they have like a secret? All the guys are just like building stuff
Right.
or hunting, and no, they're not hunting because the women hunt, right? So,
Yeah, I
are the
don't
dudes like
I don't have an
chained
answer
up?
for you.
Are they chained up like Zap Brannigan or like Snoo Snoo? Like, what is this?
It seems like there's no dudes in the picture at all whatsoever. So I couldn't tell you.
I
I don't think it was answered in the movie. I could be wrong, but I don't remember that. And I just recently rewatched it in preparation for this movie. So, yeah.
that
Anyways,
that was crazy.
yeah.
But I will say that the movie did hold true to Wonder Woman's key theme, which was defeating the villain, the main villain, with love
Mm-hmm.
and not with fists.
Sure. Yeah.
And that goes back to who Wonder Woman is at her core.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I will say that people are like, "Oh no, that's kind of dumb." It's like, well, yeah,
That's
but
the
then you have
source
that.
material. You
That's the source
idiot.
material. You have the father and the son being reunited, and the kid going in the cheesy line, but still, when you're a dad, you get it
Mm-hmm.
so much
Yep.
more. I love you because you were my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Yeah,
like,
that
oh,
part got me. Yeah, after everything, I was still like, "Oh my god, he just wants his daddy." Yeah, it
oh,
got me. Yeah.
my wish came true, Dad. It wasn't the wish that brought me to you. It wasn't
Yeah.
the wish.
All right, so let's put a pretty bow on this and sign off this bitch. This
Why's it gotta be a woman?
it this is a non-gendered bitch. This is a metaphysical, metaphorical biatch. I don't know. It's a thing. We're gonna sign off this thing.
Put a bow tie on.
Right, Geoff.
The onomatopoeia. I like this.
Thank you so much for coming on and doing this episode with me. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love being here, and anytime you need me, just
Yeah,
give me a shout.
absolutely. And once again, thank you for supporting the podcast via Patreon. Your money has gone to buying lots of cocaine and hookers, my friend. No,
Oh, good. Very good. It's a very positive release
right.
to making sure that all the stress that happens with this podcast does not go out on your wife and kids.
Exactly.
It goes
No.
out through the cocaine and the hookers.
Yes. No, all the money that we get from our Patreon, it basically goes right back into the podcast, improving the show in general. And we're basically saving right now. We're hoping
Yeah.
that convention season ramps up again soon. And, booth fees are not cheap. So
No, they are not.
we're hoping to take some of our Patreon funds and put it towards that. So
I will say, as somebody who does support you on Patreon and someone who subscribes to the podcast, I will say that if you are not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe.
Thank you.
If you're not supporting, go ahead and start supporting. For as little as like $5 a month, dude, you do so much more to help this podcast.
Thank you.
That is thought. So it's the cost of a Happy Meal a month. And if you are eating a Happy Meal and you are an adult, please question your life. And then question the $5 and give it to Patreon with the Geek Garage podcast.
Please and thank you. We'd love to accept your funds. No, thank you, Geoff. That was very sweet. I appreciate it. It always feels a little awkward, like saying, "Hey, if you like giving strangers your money, then hit us up on Patreon." But yeah, it goes a long way coming from an actual donor to a donor saying it's worth both my time and money. So we greatly appreciate it. So
yeah, and my pleasure. And I will say that I've gotten more than one person asking me about the Geek Garage podcast every time I've worn the shirt.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, whether it's been skating or, which by the way, sometimes you can you catch me skating.
Yeah,
inside the Geek Garage podcast shirt. So
right.
I think there's a video on the interweb somewhere of me skating in that shirt. I think I'm ollieing over a cone for that. Anyway,
yeah, that's more than I can say for myself. I never felt steady on a skateboard. The rollerblades were always where it was at for me. I always felt good on the rollerblades.
Hey, you know what? Skate Nashville. It's not too. Go to Asphalt Beach or whatever, and they'll hook you up.
Dope.
Anyway, you know me. Apparently I'm a commercial for a lot of people now. But I will say this, that being a supporter has not hurt my pocket as much as I thought being a Patreon supporter of somebody would.
Well, that's good.
So, I mean, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Worked it relatively easy into my budget and was great. The free shirt's killer.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly, like, it's one of my favorite shirts now because that bright red color that you gave me, like, just, dude, I love it.
That's awesome.
So I greatly appreciate it again.
And I made it with my bare hands.
You did.
So
And your actual skin hands as well being put inside the bare hand gloves
right.
that you used to operate this sheet press. That you got off of fighting a bear with your bare hands.
Yes.
The bear was completely confused on what happened.
And the bear was like, it started to fight me, but all of a sudden I had his bare hands.
You had bare hands fighting this bear. And he was wondering why you were attacking him over his beats. And his Battlestar Galactica shirt.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
All
right. Well, on that note, we are officially going to sign off. We've gone off the rails. We've gone back on the rails. And now we're signing off the rails. So, Geoff, once again, thank you. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far into the episode, as always, thank you, and I'm sorry. And
thank you, and I'm sorry.
Yes, I always say it's always that. I say that, and I say be kind, stay geeky, and eat lots of cheesecake. Welcome to 2021, everyone. Thank you, and goodbye.